Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today for our chapter book story time. We're here at the Caribou Public Library. I'm Miss Erin, and we are continuing to read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. We're on chapter 38, actually the second half of chapter 38, after Meg and her mother had had a discussion about her marriage and her parenting, etc. Meg did think it over, found it good, and acted upon it, though the first attempt was not made exactly as she planned to have it. Of course, the children tyrannized over her and ruled the house as soon as they found out that kicking and squalling brought them whatever they wanted. Mama was an abject slave to their caprices, but Papa was not so easily subjugated, and occasionally afflicted his tender spouse by an attempt at paternal discipline with his obstreperous son. For Demi inherited a trifle of his sire's firmness of character. We won't call it obstinacy. And when he made up his little mind to have or to do anything, all the king's horses and all the king's men could not change that pertinacious little mind. Pertinacious. Mama thought the dear too young to be taught to conquer his prejudices, but Papa believed that it never was too soon to learn obedience. So Master Demi early discovered that when he undertook to wrestle with Papa, he always got the worst of it. Yet, like the Englishman, Baby respected the man who conquered him, and loved the father whose grave no was more impressive than all the mother's love pats. A few days after the talk with her mother, Meg resolved to try a social evening with John. So she ordered a nice supper, set the parlor in order, dressed herself prettily, and put the children to bed early, that nothing should interfere with her experiment. But unfortunately, Demi's most unconquerable prejudice was against going to bed, and that night he decided to go on a rampage. So poor Meg sung and rocked, told stories, and tried every sleep-provoking wile she could devise, but all in vain. The big eyes wouldn't shut, and long after Daisy had gone to below, like the chubby little bunch of good nature she was, naughty Demi lay staring at the light with the most discouragingly wide-awake expression of countenance. "Will Demi lie still like a good boy while Mamma runs down and gives poor Papa his tea?" asked Meg, as the hall door softly closed and the well-known step went tiptoeing into the dining room. "Me has tea," said Demi, preparing to join in the revel. "No, but I'll save you some little cakes for breakfast, if you'll go bye-bye like Daisy. Will you, lovely?" "Yes," said Demi, shut his eyes tightly, as if to catch sleep and hurry the desired day. Taking advantage of the propitious moment, Meg slipped away and ran down to greet her husband with a smiling face and the little blue bow in her hair, which was his especial admiration. He saw it at once and said with pleased surprise, "Why, little mother, how gay we are tonight. Do you expect company?" "Only you, dear." "Is it a birthday, anniversary, or anything?" "No, I'm tired of being a dowdy, so I dressed up as a change. You always make yourself nice for table, no matter how tired you are, so why shouldn't I, when I have the time?" "I do it out of respect to you, my dear," said old-fashioned John. Ditto, Mr. Brooke," laughed Meg, looking young and pretty again, as she nodded to him over the teapot. "Well, it's altogether delightful, and like old times. It tastes right. I drink your health, dear." And John sipped his tea with an air of repose rapture, which was of very short duration, however, for as he put down his cup, the door handle rattled mysteriously, and a little voice was heard saying impatiently, "Oh, pidoy, me's tummin'." "It's that naughty boy. I told him to go to sleep alone, and here he is downstairs, getting his death a cold pattering over that canvas," said Meg, answering the call. "Mornin' now," announced Demi in a joyful tone as he entered, with his long nightgown gracefully festooned over his arm, and every curl bobbing gaily as he pranced about the table, eyeing the cakeys with lovely glances. "No, it isn't morning yet. You must go to bed and not trouble poor Mamma. Then you can have the little cake with sugar on it." "Me loves Papa," said the artful one, preparing to climb the paternal knee and revel in forbidden joys. But John shook his head and said to Meg, If you told him to stay up there and go to sleep alone, make him do it, or he will never learn to mind you." "Yes, of course. Come, Demi." And Meg led her son away, feeling a strong desire to spank the little marplot, who hopped beside her, laboring under the delusion that the bribe was to be administered as soon as they reached the nursery. Nor was he disappointed, for that short-signed woman actually gave him a lump of sugar, tucked him into bed, and forbade any more promenades until morning. "Yes," said Demi, the perjured, blissfully sucking his sugar, and regarding his first attempt as eminently successful. Meg returned to her place, and supper was progressing pleasantly, when the little ghost walked again and exposed the maternal delinquencies by boldly demanding, "More sugar, Mama." No, this won't do," said John, hardening his heart against the engaging little sinner. "We shall never know any peace until that child learns to go to bed properly. You have made a slave of yourself long enough. Give him one lesson, and then there will be an end of it. Put him in his bed and leave him, Meg." "He won't stay there. He never does, unless I sit by him." "I'll manage him. Demi, go upstairs. Get into your bed, as Mamma bids you." "Sant," replied the young rebel, helping himself to the coveted cakey, and beginning to eat the same with calm audacity. "You must never say that to Papa. I shall carry you if you don't go yourself." "Go away. Don't love Papa," said Demi, retired to his mother's skirts for protection. But even that refuge proved unavailing, for he was delivered over to the enemy with a "Be gentle with him, John," which struck the culprit with dismay. For when Mamma deserted him, then the judgment day was at hand. Bereft of his cake, defrauded of his frolic, and borne away by a strong hand that detested bed, poor Demi could not restrain his wrath, but openly defied Papa, and kicked and screamed lustily all the way to the stairs. The minute he was put into bed on one side, he rolled out the other, and made for the door, only to be ignominiously caught up by the tail of his little toga and put back again, which lively performance was kept up until the young man's strength gave out, when he devoted himself to roaring at the top of his voice. This vocal exercise usually conquered Meg, but John sat at as unmoved as the post, which is popularly believed to be deaf. No coaxing, no sugar, no lullaby, no story. Even the light was put out, and only the red glow of the fire enlivened the big dark, which Demi regarded with curiosity rather than fear. This new order of things disgusted him, and he howled dismally for Mamma, as his angry passions subsided, and recollections of his tender bondwoman returned to the captive autocrat. The plaintive wail which succeeded the passionate roar went to Meg's heart, and she ran up to say beseechingly, "Let me stay with him. He'll be good now, John." "No, my dear. I've told him he must go to sleep, as you bid him, and he must, if I stay here all night." "But he'll cry himself sick," pleaded Meg, reproaching herself for deserting her boy. "No, he won't. He's so tired he will soon drop off. Then the matter is settled, for he will understand that he's got to mind. Don't interfere, I'll manage him." "He's my child, and I can't have his spirit broken by harshness." "He's my child, and I won't have his temper spoiled by indulgence. Go down, my dear, and leave the boy to me." When John spoke in that masterful tone, Meg always obeyed and never regretted her docility. "Please let me kiss him once, John." "Certainly. Demi, say good night to Mamma, and let her go and rest, for she's very tired with taking care of you all day." Meg always insisted upon it, that the kiss won the victory, for, after it was given, Demi sobbed more quietly, and lay quite still at the bottom of the bed, whither he had wriggled in his anguish of mind. "Poor little man, he's worn out with sleep and crying. I'll cover him up and then go and set Meg's heart at rest," thought John, creeping to the bedside, hoping to find his rebellious heir asleep. But he wasn't. For the moment his father peeped at him. Demi's eyes opened, his little chin began to quiver, and he put up his arms, saying with a penitent hiccup, "Me's dood now." Sitting on the stairs, outside, Meg wondered at the long silence which followed the uproar, and after imagining all sorts of impossible accidents, she slipped into the room to set her fears at rest. Demi lay fast asleep, not in his usual spread-eagle attitude, but a subdued bunch, cuddled close in the circle of his father's arm, and holding his father's finger, as he felt that justice was tempered with mercy, and had gone to sleep a sadder and wiser baby. So held, John had waited with womanly patience until the little hand relaxed its hold, and while waiting, had fallen asleep, more tired by that tussle with his little son than with his whole day's work. As Meg stood watching the two faces on the pillow, she smiled to herself, and then slipped away again, saying in a satisfied tone, "I never need fear that John will be too harsh with my babies. He does know how to manage them, and will be a great help, for Demi is getting too much for me." When John came down at last, expecting to find a pensive or reproachful wife, he was agreeably surprised to find Meg placidly trimming a bonnet, and to be greeted with the request to read something about the election, if he was not too tired. John saw in a minute what a revolution of some kind was going on, but wisely asked no questions. Knowing that Meg was such a transparent little person, she couldn't keep a secret to save her life, and therefore the clue would soon appear. He read a long debate with the most amiable readiness, and then explained it in his most lucid manner, while Meg tried to look deeply interested, to ask intelligent questions, and to keep her thoughts from wandering from the state of the nation to the state of her bonnet. In her secret soul, however, she decided that politics were as bad as mathematics, and that the mission of politicians seemed to be calling each other names. But she kept these feminine ideas to herself, and when John paused, she shook her head and said, with what she thought diplomatic ambiguity, "Well, I really don't see what we're coming to." John laughed and watched her for a minute as she poised a pretty little preparation of tulle and flowers on her hand, and regarded it with the genuine interest which his harangue had failed to waken. "She's trying to like politics for my sake, so I'll try to like millinery for hers. That's only fair," thought John the just, added aloud, "That's very pretty. Is it what you call a breakfast cap?" "My dear man, it's a bonnet, my very best go-to-concert and theatre bonnet." "I beg your pardon. It was so very small, I naturally mistook it for one of the fly-away things you sometimes wear. How do you keep them on?" "These bits of lace are fastened under the chin with a rosebud. So," and Meg illustrated by putting on the bonnet and regarding him with an air of clean and calm satisfaction that was irresistible. "It's a love of a bonnet, but I prefer the face inside, for it looks young and happy again." And John kissed the smiling face, to the great detriment of the rosebud under the chin. "I'm glad you like it, for I want you to take me to one of the new concerts some night. I really need some music to put me in tune. Will you, please?" "Of course I will, with all my heart, or anywhere else you like. You have been shut up so long, it will do you no end of good, and I shall enjoy it of all things. What put it into your head, little mother?" "Well, I had a talk with Marmee the other day, and told her how nervous and cross and out of sorts I felt. She said I needed change and less care. So Hannah is to help me with the children, and I'm going to see about the house more, and now and then have a little fun, just to keep me from getting to be a fidgety, broken-down old woman before my time. It's only an experiment, John, and I want to try it for your sake as much as for mine, because I've neglected you shamefully lately. I'm going to make home what it used to be if I can. You don't object, I hope." Never mind what John said, or what a very narrow escape the little bonnet had from utter ruin. All that we have any business to know is that John did not appear to object, judging from the changes which gradually took place in the house and its inmates. It was not all paradise by any means, but everyone was better for the division of labor system. The children throve under the parental rule, for accurate, steadfast John brought order and obedience into babydom, while Meg recovered her spirits and composed her nerves by plenty of wholesome exercise, a little pleasure, and much confidential conversation with her sensible husband. Home grew homelike again, and John had no wish to leave it, unless he took Meg with him. The Scotts came to the Brooks now, and everyone found the little house a cheerful place, full of happiness, content, and family love. Even gay Sally Moffat liked to go there. "It's always so quiet and pleasant here. It does me good, Meg," she used to say, looking about her with wistful eyes, as if trying to discover the charm that she might use it in her great house full of splendid loneliness, for there were no riotous, sunny-faced babies there, and Ned lived in a world of his own where there was no place for her. This household of happiness did not come at all at once, but John and Meg found the key to it, and each year of married life taught them how to use it, unlocking the treasures of real home love and mutual helpfulness, which the poorest may possess, and the richest cannot buy. This is the sort of shelf on which young wives and mothers may consent to be laid, safe from the restless fret and fever of the world, finding loyal lovers in the little sons and daughters who cling to them, undaunted by sorrow, poverty, or age, walking side by side through fair and stormy weather with a faithful friend, who is, in the true sense of the good old Saxon word, the house band. The learning, as Meg learned, that a woman's happiest kingdom is home, her highest honor the art of ruling it, not as a queen, but as a wise wife and mother. That's the end of chapter 38. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.